My experience writing my organizational assessment was actually very great. I felt like I was very fortunate that my supervisor was very hands-on. She was extremely helpful. There was a lot of resources she provided as far as just like PowerPoints of information, and even when I onboarded, like they gave me this whole mini presentation on not only like the specific department I was working in, but the organization as a whole. So definitely if there was any gaps that I needed to fill in, I was comfortable enough to be able to ask her, and she'd, give me more information or point me to someone who could give me some of that information. So I really didn't have like any challenge writing it.
That was probably one of the easiest things for me to write.
Yeah.
Was the organizational assessment of all of the chapters. That was for sure because I had such great access. I was really lucky because my organization was really small, so I got to interview both of the executive directors, and they gave me access to their Google Drives, which had their audits for the past few years, and they're one audit because they're brand new, but they answered all of my questions. So my steps in that were really, they gave me access to all of these documents. So I did as much document review as I could in preparation of interviewing them. And so I kind of knew what I wanted to focus on with each of them because they had different, I think, strengths and really their division of labor and how they split their responsibilities. So I was able to ask the same questions and see their different perspectives, but then hone in on, okay, well, I know that my site supervisor, who was one of the executive directors, handled all the personnel. So I was going to ask them about, the organizational chart and their staffing plans for the future and that kind of stuff. And then I also knew that the other executive director was really kind of their business manager. So I asked him all my questions about finances.
With the organizational assessment, the biggest challenge I had was I didn't have enough information from my supervisor, and just there wasn't a ton of information on the Chicago Department of Public Health's website. The only organizational flowchart I had was a really broad one of the entire organization that really didn't make sense to my project. So I was trying to reach out to my supervisor, and I wasn't getting enough information. And I sent a bunch of emails, but it wasn't working. So I went to his supervisor and asked to set up a meeting. And then I sat down with her for 45 minutes, and I recorded it, and she talked me through the entire how the HIV Bureau worked.
The OA was a bit of a challenge, especially when I was getting critiques back, because I didn't know certain stuff had to be addressed as in depth. I think with the funding part, that took a lot more work than I thought it was going to take, because I thought, I could just put this graph here and that kind of be self-explanatory, but I had to kind of go in depth. So a lot of the times when I would have meetings with the different faculty members, it would be them basically telling me okay, you discussed this in your paper really broadly, but what you're telling me is the in-depth information you should be putting into your paper.
There's actually a lot, when I just Google searched the Chicago Department of Public Health, I got a lot of history, and that helped a lot. It was just doing Google searches on them. And then within their organization, or within their website, there's various links to other organizations or other websites that had more information on each division within CDPH. So that was helpful.
A lot of organizations that are around, you can have access through GuideStar to, I think it's GuideStar, to get access on, their financial records for, as long as they've been a legal entity.
So, but with my practicum supervisor before he transitioned out, he was readily available at all times. So I tried to ask as many questions to him up front. And then when I couldn't get information from them, then I would go to the development department or the human resource department and see if they had their manuals or any guidelines, any old information they had written that told the history of the organization or anything that I couldn't find. And then I also used the website a lot, but the website was pretty broad, so I just asked them for a lot of their handbooks and old information that they used to have, and they would email that to me or print off copies and give it to me. So While I was doing digging, I kind of pushed the staff to dig as well, which was very helpful because that's how I found most of my information.
And also, I talked to a lot of the people that worked within the department I was in. So a lot of the other, I guess, coworkers or I don't know, people that work there, and asked them for some information. Just because my department had a lot of other like projects, and even the organization I was in did a lot of other things. I just talked to them so I can get like different perspectives as well. And what helped me at the beginning was, so where I was at was very large, but my department was maybe about a team of 5 or 6. So my supervisor actually introduced me, and we had little one-on-ones because each person kind of did did different projects there. And they kind of talked about what they did, and so if I wanted to get more information regarding that, I mean, I was comfortable because I already was introduced to them. We had conversations, so and they were very like willing to help as well.
I think that like talking to the right people in the organization helps, and if one person isn't giving you an answer, advocate for yourself and talk to somebody else who can help you and find the right person who can.